3, 2, 1. Boom! What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another podcast of the MindBuzz Podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Another episode.
Whatever this thing is, I guess. If Amber says it's an episode, it's an episode. If it's not an episode, it's not an episode. She's the boss. Anyways, me and the boss had a loaded weekend. And we also have a couple of announcements for the end of September. But first, let's talk about our weekend. Amber and I went to the Elevate conference held by Chicano Hollywood. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it was probably the most inspiring conference that I've ever been to. Probably the only conference that I've ever been to.
I was going to say, how many conferences have you been
I've been to a couple. But yeah, it was just an amazing Saturday. Unfortunately, we had an event on Friday, which I'll get into in just a minute. But
fortunately, we had one.
Did I say unfortunately?
You did.
Oh, that's bad. Sorry. Jaime, que me cuentas? My bad. Unfortunately, we were there for Saturday's event, which was amazing. They had an amazing panel. Do you want to pull up that video?
Sure.
For Chicano Hollywood? It was amazing.
Is this one?
Yes. Edward James Olmos was there. Who else? Louis, forgot his name. Louis Guzman was there. Give me some volume.
Hollywood. I'm Maria Pantaste. I'll show you how a production house is telling authentic stories about the Chicano experience.
Some would call it a production house and streaming service, but for Johnny Murillo, one of its founders, it's a movement.
This movement started because we all recognize that we need to do something for ourselves. So we launched Chicano Hollywood.
It's a journey that began for Murillo when he worked as an extra on a film more than a decade ago. He fell in love with what was happening behind the camera.
I noticed that the Chicano voice was not being heard. We were pitching ideas and concepts. We were never getting greenlit.
Everything from dramas to talk shows and reality TV. Fellow founder Alberto Portillo is a producer and director who has created several viral videos. His goal is to be authentic while finding mainstream appeal.
Well, this isn't really about the Elevate conference.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck?
Maybe that was the wrong video to choose.
Well, we went to the Elevate conference, and it was a conference to bring people in the industry or wanting to break into the industry or just creators in general together to network and be inspired by people. So,
yeah, so we were there on Saturday. They had a great panel. Also, Alfred Robles, Joey Medina, and Jerry Garcia were there on the comedy panel, which was awesome. It was great to see that. So if you're in the industry, watch out for Chicano Hollywood because they are doing an amazing job in getting us Latino creators all together in one place to network so we can work together. So I thought that was amazing. It allowed, I bought a shirt. So that says a lot.
I bought salsa.
And Amber bought salsa. Other than that, we have My Grito presents Soul Night at Hello Strangers, celebrating My Grito's 3-year anniversary on Saturday, September 23rd in Los Angeles. Maria Sanchez is headlining. Go to the link in our show description. Check it out. And yeah, be there. Be there or be square. Amber and I will be there. So say hi. What else, Amber? That's it, right?
Go.
Okay, just go. And we have our open mic September 21st.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Jeez, see, this is why we do stuff like this, because Amber forgets. Other than that, we got to welcome our guests for today,
Yeah.
Two Souls on Phyre Radio. How are you? Thanks for coming out and doing the podcast.
Yes, thank you for welcoming me and inviting me over to your studio. So I'm excited.
Excited, I know. Every time I do something like this, I get nervous too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a first date. Like me and Amber have like 3 first dates every week, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made it sound really weird.
I know.
It's all right.
Well, you get practice. You get lots of practice.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. You just celebrated, well, not just, maybe just a few weeks ago, you celebrated your anniversary.
Yeah,
and
first
you
anniversary
had
on August the 26th.
You had a great event.
Huge event, yeah.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your event.
Well, it wasn't not only me, but it was collaborating with a friend of mine named Josh Fameza, which he's a comedian, a stand-up comic. And he goes by the name of Nightwolf Comedy on Instagram. So I actually had interviewed him on my show, and I had him there, in the studio, and we were just talking. And then I was telling him, yeah, I have my year anniversary coming up, but I don't know where to do it at, and I'm having a hard time trying to find venues and stuff like that. And apparently, he was like, well, I could help you out with that. So he helped me out with that. He's like, let's collab, let's get a show going, and not only have artists, but comedians, because he's a comedian and he has, he's been doing his own production with comics, on his thing. He's been doing it on his own events and stuff. So I was like, you know what, that would probably work. Like, I didn't even imagine incorporating the comedians. Like, I just focus on artists because that's kind of what my show's all about. But he's like, let's do it. Let's go ahead and try it and see how it works. And man, it was awesome, because we did not only have comedians, but we had solo artists, and we also had bands. We had 3 main bands on the stage were our closers. They were our headliners, all of them. So,
And who were the bands that were there closing out
actually,
your
you
show?
interviewed one of them, Quetzalcoatl, Obsidian Rising Records. His 3 bands were there. So Quetzalcoatl Band, Anomaly Productive, and Eros del Sol was the headliner. So they were awesome. They all worked together, and it was a great show, and we had a lot of, like I said, a lot of solo artists, and a lot of them came from a lot of places. It wasn't just the Inland Empire or LA. I had a couple that, one of them drove all the way from Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, not drove, but came on the airplane from Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah. His name's Real Chills. And he came out, and then I had a couple people from San Diego, to come out on the show and do their thing, and it made me very grateful for them, because these artists are not getting, like, the majority of them. It's not like we're giving them 20 minutes on stage, they're getting just like 10 minutes, tops, because we want to try to fit in a lot of other artists as well to get their shot, And even if I offered them that, they were like, I'm there. Like, there's no ifs or buts. They're like, I don't care. Like, I want to be there, and I want to support, and I want, to be a part of this amazing event. So that, to me, it's like very touching, because they did that. So we were able to, incorporate the artists to come through, the bands to do their thing. And then also Josh had a lot of comedians that he also brought in. Some of them came from different locations as well. We had one that came in from Seattle, Washington, I believe. His name's, I think, David Altimirano. Then we had, not only that, but we had another collab partner of ours that we just met online, and he knew I was doing an event, and I hit him up and we talked, and he's a coordinator of a lot of lowrider clubs out in the Inland Empire, and he goes by Inland Empire Cruise Nights, and his name's Phil and his wife's Patricia. So we were interacting online, and man, we were like, okay, cool, let's do this. He's like, how many car clubs, more or less, how many cars do you need? And I told him, and he's like, all right, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. And they all showed up. And so we had lowriders, and it wasn't like a competition or anything. It was just for them to, like, come kick it, show their cars, enjoy the community festival that we're doing, And so a lot of them came through. They were supportive. They were right there, part of it. And then not only that, we had vendors. We had like 22 vendors.
Whoa.
That was crazy. Yeah, I'm telling you, this production company, I mean, like the whole setup to do an event, like, this was my first time being, like, behind the scenes, because I've been hosting before as a host for other events that they've told me, hey, you want to be our host? So I'll host a show, or I'll co-host a show. And this time I was doing the whole thing. I was co-hosting. I mean, like, me and Josh were both hosts. He was hosting for his comedian section of it once it started to be at that time for the comedians. But I was doing the whole artist. And not only that, we were doing the organization of everything. So it took a lot of work.
That seems like a packed day. How long were you there for?
We were actually there Friday night. We
Whoa.
had a crew. We had a crew of friends.
Slept in the parking lot.
We're like,
got
we're
some
there
breakfast.
Friday night, so they came through. Shout out to them. I had my homegirl La Barbie. She's an artist, and also she's Miss Curve West Coast from the pageant that she's in, and she brought a friend along, and then my other friend brought a friend. Like, just certain people just came through for us, and they're like, "We'll help you guys in whatever you guys need." So me and Josh were there, and we were rearranging, decorating, doing all kinds of stuff to prepare for the event. And we had to be there like at 11 in the morning or 10:30 in the morning to direct traffic and vendors, and oh man.
I love how one idea can spiral into this magnificent, day.
Yes.
Right? You had one idea and you thought about it, and you were along with your event partner saying, you know what, let's just do this. And then some.
Yes.
And then throughout just the planning process, it just got bigger and
it was
better.
Getting bigger. It was, because put it this way, look, we never even, I've been to a lot of shows, but I never seen where they incorporated tattoo artists. Like, if you go to a tattoo convention, you see tattoo artists there, because that's what they're for. That's the event. The whole event's inspired by. But I had Josh was like, hey, let's do a tattoo a booth. And I'm like, you're kidding me. He goes, yeah. He goes, people's going to come get tattoos. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never had that. So a friend, one of my artists that I had on the show, I didn't know he did tattooing, but I saw his name on his Instagram said tattooing next to it. So I said, hey, Joel, you do tattoos, huh? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, would you want to have a booth and do tattoos like live on the spot in my event for my 1 year anniversary? He's like, I'm there. He goes, me and my girl, we do that. And I'm like, no way. So I started browsing through their Instagrams, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, let's do it. And people were getting tattooed. And I did not think that it was going to happen, because I'm like, well, who's going to want to get a tattoo at an event like where we have like singers? And I told them, is she going to be able to, like, because we were having them in the main room where the stage is at, and they were off to the side right there doing tattooing. So then, he said that they had a good turnout.
That's
Wow.
Cool, yeah.
That is just so wild to me. When I was looking at your flyer, you had car club, you had a comedy show, you had bands, you had singers, you had vendors, and it was all in a brewery, right?
Yeah, it was at the Escape Craft Brewery.
Escape Craft Brewery.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
a huge
It looked big.
venue.
It looks pretty big.
Yeah, it's 2 rooms. There's one lounge area. As soon as you walk in, there's a first lounge area, and we had a DJ set up right there. DJ Sai One, he was mixing, and then on the main room, which they call the game room, that's where the stage was at, and like everybody was just chilling. And then they have a patio, outdoor patio, and then on the outside of the building, there was all the vendors lined up. All right there, all the food vendors and everything that we can think of that we were able to, get. They were selling their stuff, but it was a hot day. Oh my God, it was so
It was at
hot.
the end of August, right? August 26th, because I remember you were like, oh, come out.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's my birthday weekend, and I think we already had something planned for that weekend, or else I would have made a cameo there.
Yeah, it would have been dope. But yeah, it was super hot, and I give a lot of credit to all of
Amber
them.
does cake stands, so that would have been
No, I don't.
a treat
I don't even
for you.
drink.
For Amber to do a cake stand.
Yeah, but it was super hot, man. Everybody was sweating up a storm, and it was just like, man. And then we even had the 360 booth, one of our sponsors.
I seen that. That's so cool.
Yeah, so one of
Those
my
are
sponsors,
awesome.
his name's LZ Entertainment. You guys should follow him. So LZ Entertainment is one of my sponsors. The owner is Louis Zuniga, and they have other businesses that they take care of and stuff. And one of them is the Glitter and Flash booth. And he's like, I want to take my Glitter and Flash booth. It's a 360 booth. That would be a hit at your event. I'm like, yes, like everyone's doing it at all these different events I see on Instagram. So yeah, he set it up, and everybody had fun with it. And as of today, this was today. It was my first time that I posted all the videos that he sent me, because he sent them through me to email. And I'm like, all right, today I'm posting them all, and everyone could enjoy watching them, and how much fun it was to be on there. And then I had a artist friend of mine, Breeze Beats. He created the background song to it. So while everybody's like dancing and moving, he's in the background, and he made the whole beat, and his voice comes on in it too. So it's kind of cool.
Wow.
It's like a little keepsake memory because our logos are on it.
It's a digital keepsake.
Yes.
For your event and for
Something
the day.
New age.
Well, congratulations on the 1 year. It's hard to start something and be consistent, and let alone do it for a year. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you. It was a great accomplishment.
Yeah, of course. So you had this huge anniversary get together. You had a huge party, an event. So tell me, it must be significant, right? Because you're doing this for a year now. So tell me about your show and give the little details about that.
So what we do is we focus on giving a platform to a lot of artists, and not only artists but also the bands. And I used to say local bands because that's kind of like everybody want to support the local bands, but our show has been going worldwide. It's basically like there's a whole bunch of people that are listening. So not just in California, but in other states and countries. So internet, I mean, everyone always says it's a bad thing, but no, it's a good thing because we're able to support one another through the internet.
Right. It's a good thing if you know how to use it and you use it for a positive manner and you use it as a tool.
Exactly. So therefore, I'm able to put the artist, either be a band or artist, on a platform and play their music. So we do a show called Triple Shot Tuesday. And it's funny because at first, like at the time when I created it, I had stopped like totally drinking. And it was just a test for me that I wanted to do. I was just like, I'm not going to drink anymore. And then when I was given this opportunity to create my own show, I called, better to call it is Triple Shot Tuesday. And my friend's like, well, you don't drink anymore, so you got to be drinking on the show. I was like, no, I don't. But the way I made that, so the way I made the name up was because when I was a kid, when I was younger, my mom used to listen to K-Love back when we were in LA.
Oh, I love K-Love.
You remember that station?
Yeah.
So I think every Thursday night, I remember she would put it on, and the radio host would play like either 2 tracks of the artist and then talk about them. And then I was like,
the mini conciertos.
Yes,
right?
he would do that.
Right.
So, and I fell in love with the concept. So then when I was given the opportunity to create my own show, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do back to back, basically 3 songs per artist. And I called it Triple Shot because I'm throwing 3 songs at you, back to back. And then in between, I talk a little bit about the artist. And how I incorporate that is that when they submit their music, I put it on the rotation, but I don't put all 3 or all 4, because I usually ask them to send me about 4 songs. And then out of the 4, we'll pick like either 2 or 3, but the majority of the time we just put 2 out there on the rotation. And then I'll keep the other 2 like to myself. Like I want to listen to it the day of the actual show because I want to be surprised. I want to get that authentic like reaction.
Yeah, that genuine reaction, the genuine reaction from the music.
Yeah. So basically, like on Tuesdays, we'll just do the Triple Shot Tuesday. We'll talk about them a little bit. I'll talk about them a little bit. It's only me, and then I'll play the song, and then the next track like that, and then we'll just have fun with it, and then it's just three artists for that 1 hour, and then but then I started doing this other thing where I was like, you know what? Because I moved from one studio to another. So now I started at a small studio. It was just a little tiny little thing. And then now I went to a little bigger room. So now I'm in the bigger room. And now when I created it, like, wow, well, actually this room's going to fit like 5 people to interview. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to start buying a little bit more of equipment, and I'll be able to do like this, like live interviews. So I started asking certain people, I'm like, hey, would you be willing to come in and do the live interview? And they're like, yeah, I'm there. So I started doing that. And I said, okay, well, I'll call that one a Triple Shot Tuesday Studio Takeover, which means only 1 artist the whole hour. And we're going to present at least up to 8 tracks or 9 and talk about them. And then, he's in front of me or she's in front of me, and it's live and it's just having a good time, So that's been working out. I have a lot of fun with that. I've already had a couple people at my studio, and we've done that before already. So
that's awesome. You mentioned that you were given the opportunity to create something like that. How did the opportunity come up?
Because a friend of mine, at the time I was acting. I do a lot of acting on the side. I could do comedy skits with they're called Cover Your Ass Entertainment. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but so Cover Your Ass Entertainment, it's a group of people that they want to also film, do comedy shows, do comedy skits, and then also do short films. The main organizer, his name is Carlos. So he's the one that he does a lot of writing. He's very intelligent on that. He just loves writing books, and he's already had one book written. So he has also Love Machine. I don't know if you've ever heard of Love Machine, but he's also a comic. And then we have Crow Tats, which is another one that's on there. So them three, and plus me, I would always be with them all the time, just doing all these comedy skits and having a good time and everything. And so my friend needed a sponsor because he owns a radio station. They play, like when you have all these DJs and you want to get like exposure to the DJs. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's called Vinyl Diffusion Radio. And what they do is like, if you know a DJ and that DJ needs like more business, what better way to help him out and give him a set where he can play his tracks and do his set on live radio. So Vinyl Diffusion Radio gives that opportunity to DJs out there that want to go ahead and present themselves and give them more exposure. And then if you hear them on the radio, you're like, oh, I want to hire that DJ. He sounds fresh. So he needed sponsors because he knew me. He's like, hey, would your team, Cover Your Ass Entertainment, want to have us as a sponsor so we could cross promote each other and build each other up? And I said, yeah, sure. So we did that for a while. And then he started noticing how I am, more like how I am, my personality and everything. And then Peter, his name's Peter, he was given the opportunity, I guess a friend of his gave him a radio show, the ownership of it, and he didn't know what to do with it. He needed somebody to manage it. And he's like, hey, would you want to manage this? And, you create your own, the way you want to do it. And, you can get your people on board, whoever you want to help you out, and make it all about music. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And he's like, but you got to create a name. He goes, I'm not going to be able to help you with that. He goes, you got to create your own name. So I did. And I kind of copied it off my Instagram name that I have as a personal thing. That's how I created the name.
So was it like when you first started, were you like intimidated at all by it, or were you pretty fascinated to
No, I was
starting
actually
something
really
new?
excited to do it because I already had been promoting for a long time artists. Like I've been promoting a lot of artists way before I started being on radio. And the way I was doing it was going through Instagram and like promoting them, like either, promoting their flyers, their music, the events that they would be at. And then a lot of them would even hit me up and they're like, hey, you know a lot of people that do interviews. Can you help me out and book me an interview? So I'll do that. I was like, yeah, I'll find to see who the person I got to talk to for you. And then I'll do that. Or I'll say, hey, this event's looking for artists to be on the lineup. Go ahead and hit them up and let them know I sent you. And little by little, it's just like people started knowing me and they were like, oh, could you manage me? And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be no manager. He was all like, yeah, I want you to be my manager. I'm like, no, that's like too much pressure. I don't want to be no manager. But I was just trying to be that person to link them up, little by little. But I guess that's why when I got that opportunity to do the radio show, I was like, oh man, this is the perfect spot for me, the perfect thing that I've been wanting to do. Like, so I took charge of it. Right.
Wow. It's just crazy. Like from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
And I mean, you weren't intimidated by it. You're fascinated with it. And from there, you're like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Because it's already something that you're doing already.
Yeah.
Might as well create something out of what you're doing already, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Have you had any, tell us about a few challenges that you've had kind of navigating this, right? Because obviously you weren't given like a blueprint of how to do it, right? You just you knew that one, you wanted to help, and two, you liked, your love for music and people. But like what are some of the challenges that you've gone through, and how do you even figure them out? How do you even start to figure them out?
Well, way before we launched because we launched on August the 2nd of last year. So way before that, it was the discussion of, giving me the opportunity. It was sometime in June or either June or April, something like that. We had already been discussing it. And he was like, you decide when you want to launch it. And I said, all right, give me some time, because I don't like to just be thrown out there just like that. I want to make sure that I learn, even though I already knew somewhat of the promoting and the artists and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put myself to the test. So I started going on to radio broadcasting courses and trying to help myself be better at what I wanted to do. You know, because I was like, well, what is a radio host? I need to know that. I need to know what my position is, because if I'm going to be put in this position, not that I'm put, but I chose it, right? But I want to know what I'm doing. I'm not going to try to be like, well, yeah, I know what I'm doing. No, I needed to read about it, learn about it, and, you know, take some little courses here and there and stuff like that. So I had to understand what sponsorship means. I had to understand, and for my own sake, it's not like someone told me you have to. I'm my own person, my own boss. So I was like, oh, well, you know, I want to learn for my own sake, so that way I can manage my business better, you know. And it's not just like, it's fun, but it's also a business, you know. So I got to keep it professional too, because the way I present myself and my artists, I want to make sure that we're presented, you know, professionally, not just kind of like whatever. So that was a challenge to myself that I did for a couple months. I'm like, before I go on there and say that I'm a radio host and that I have a radio show, I got to know what I'm talking about and what I'm saying and stuff like that. So that was one of my challenges.
That's good. At least you took the initiative to look for something to, you know, to get better at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's half of it.
Yeah, that was
because
the tip of the iceberg.
There's nothing like learning on the job. And I'm pretty sure that there has been multiple things, right, during your year journey of doing this. So is there something significant that you can tell me about that you learned on the spot?
There's a lot of things, actually. So when I do the radio show, like, I had to remember that everyone's listening, and I gotta actually like speak into, like, of course, like this what I'm talking about, the mic right here. But remember that everybody's listening, so I gotta remember to intrigue everybody's in the conversation. And so that was kind of hard to like learn, because, you know, I'm by myself.
I praises to you, because I wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, I tried it, but it's awkward. Even if I have Amber, she's on the other side of the screen, and it's still awkward.
No, and not even that, but it's like us, like, we at least we're able to see like you know, expressions. So like if you know, something, we need to change the subject, someone looks like they're uncomfortable, then we can tell by body language. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at both of you and trying to do things like that. So doing it alone, where you don't know if, you know, who's saying yes, or you know what I mean, like conversating back to you in their car or whatever, like that's hard. Like kudos to you, honestly.
Yeah, so that's something that I could tell, like, when I go back to the first episode, the first actual live air show that I did, and compared to one that I'm doing now, you could tell the difference. I was playing the other day when before August 26th, I started posting a lot of like memories, and, you know, I was like, oh, this is a first show, and then I had little clips of it, and then I was listening to myself, and I'm like, man, what a rookie. I'm like, it sounded dead silent sometimes. I'm like, oh, I got on fired.
But it's good that you went back and, you know, took inventory of those early shows, because you can see the progression throughout your first time being behind the mic versus where you are now. And that gives you some sort of this positive reinforcement that you are learning, that you are taking it day by day, but as the day by day progresses, you are also getting better at your craft. Yeah. And that's good.
And that's what makes me happy, because I'm like, you know, because there has been times where I felt like I did want to throw in the towel. And the reason why is because there's not that many women in radio. Yeah. And so I've read about it a lot, you know, and that's a thing that was kind of intimidating to me, and kind of like, man, you know what, like, nobody really wants to take me serious, because in the way beginning of me being doing my radio show, there was times that I knew that certain people were doing events and stuff, and then I'll hit them up and I'm like, hey, well, you know, do you have anybody hosting it? no, we don't. Well, I could do it. Well, what? Like you? And I'm like, no, we want to go get someone else. And, you know, he does a really good job and this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, no offense to that person. I know exactly who the person is because, you know, I support them too. But like, I could do it. Give me a try, you know, like, you know, I could do this. You know, so with that, you know, being said, it's kind of like sometimes it does make me feel kind of like, man, like this is going to be tough because not that many women are taken serious. You know, it's always a man holding the mic. It's always, you know, everywhere you go, it's usually a man on the mic, you know, at UFC fights, at boxing
Yeah, that's
fights.
true. I haven't really
You ever noticed it?
Never
I
noticed it
because, you know, since I'm in that
That's
position.
that's my my masculine privilege. My bad.
But it's true. It's true. And honestly, my hat's off to you that you want to, that you don't back down on that, you know, because it's very, very easy to just be like, all right, this industry is not made for me or for women, and let's go be something else.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go fill in a different area in the industry that we do fit in. But no, it's like,
and no, I didn't want to give up because I have a role model that I look up to. So I was mentioning that to some of the other people earlier on my TikTok, because I do sometimes TikTok streaming. And I was telling them, I said, you guys know who Cici Valencia is? And they're like, someone were like, yeah, we know. She's like, oh, well, she is something that's how high I want to get.
Can you pull her up? Cici, what is that?
Cici Valencia.
Valencia. Is Amber spelling it correctly?
She's from,
Is it Cici? There we go.
Yeah, she's from the radio show.
CECE Valencia.
Yeah.
Is that her?
There you go.
Oh, nice.
So
this
Kate,
is who you aspire.
Yes, she's amazing. She's a great woman, you know, and she's doing so much for the community and for a lot of artists. And man, she's hustled so much. You know, I've been seeing her. I've been listening to her for the longest, and so it's like, you know what? If she could do it, I could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to, you know, throw in the towel. I'm not going to give up just yet. And I'm going to keep going, you know, as long as until the wheels fall off, like they say.
But it's true. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that think that women, we've progressed, right? And yeah, we've progressed from maybe the 50s or whatever, but there's still a really long way for women to go, and especially in different industries, right? Like we're not in every industry, or if we are in every industry, we're not in that main character, you know, view. Like you were saying, like UFC, like there's only men, you know, this and that. And even for myself, it's happened when my family, when we opened our business, you know, I was within the three of us, I was given a role that, you know, maybe is filled by like a man. So every time I would deal with vendors, I would do email, right? So I would email all the vendors, and then they were like, okay, I want to set up a meeting. And we would meet, and then my brother-in-law would be like, okay, this is Amber. She's going to go ahead and take over. Thanks. And they were so like, oh, like, we're not going to deal with you like a man, you know? And he's like, no, like, she's your boss. Like, she's going to tell you what to do. And there's a lot of people that were not very happy with it, you know? And it's one of those things that you're just like, okay, like, deal with it. Like, I could do what a man does. I mean, what's the difference, you know? And it's crazy to think that we're in 2023 and that still that happens.
Exactly.
Well, I think women like yourself, Amber, and Two Souls, I mean, there's room to change that. And I think that with the power of social media and just willpower, if you really want to do something, you're going to set out and do it.
Exactly.
Right? And the role models are a huge thing. You know what I heard today? I heard about this thing called model success. And basically what model success is, finding someone who is already successful and replicate the steps they took to become successful. Right? So that's picking 5 different of your favorite public figures, studying them and replicating what they did.
Exactly.
I learned that today. That's a freebie for anybody listening and watching, because I had to pay for that. But it seems so simple, but yet it can be hard. The only hard thing that gets in an individual's way or a creative's way is themselves. And that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. You have to take inventory of what you really want to do, and you have to give the fucks to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You got to set aside ego. And another thing I heard today, did I write it down? Okay. When your dream is big enough and you want it bad enough, your fear will disappear. John Jacks.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
It fucking fueled me today. I was on a good one. This video was like, it was like a coaching video for content creators. And it was about like the dude said it was 45 minutes long, but it ended up being like 2 hours. And it was crazy. It was really good because it was really good information. And I feel that it's something that people can harness, creators can harness to potentially reach the type of success that they want.
Exactly. I think that
we can't give up.
Yeah, I think my thing is, be in order for you to reach your visions, you either have to create it yourself, motivate yourself, and inspire yourself.
Absolutely, because no one's going to do it for you.
That I follow, like, I'm always into that because I'm like, and I even talk a little bit about it on my radio show too, like in between sometimes, especially like when I have artists that send in their music that you could just tell their lyrics are so deep, like they were deep in their emotions, and something happened. You could just read. A lot of the artists submit songs that are like very touching, and you could just hear that, like through their lyrics that they went through a lot. So to me, it's like that's when I kind of get that little opportunity to kind of run a little bit about, so I'll talk about their song. And then all of a sudden I'll get into that motivational speaker mode. And then I'm like, wait, I don't want to say so much because, it's not a talk show. But I was like, whoa, like that's what that song did, And I'll tell the artist, you see that? I said, that's probably what you wanted, right? I said, that's a lot of artists sometimes forget that, write about your feelings and stuff, but also to create something for others to feel, because not everyone's going to feel exactly what they felt. But if you are smart enough and you word it a certain way where it's also helping others, everyone's going to love that artist, because that's how it helped me. There's an artist that is out in, oh my God, where he's from. I forgot what state he's in. But anyways, his name's Prophet Maine. And I did a showcase on him, and he had wrote a song, and he was like quoting some of the scriptures in the Bible, but at the same time, like he was also talking about his pain and he's went through. And then it just hit me, and I was like, man, like I fell in love with his song. And then I started speaking about it while I was talking about him and stuff. And then I wrote him a message, and I'm like, wow, that just inspired me, because sometimes we have people that want to break us down. We have people out there that are hating what we're doing. There's a lot of people that don't like, to see others succeed. And so, especially in our own culture, I don't know why why
is that? We were just having, well, not we, but I was having the conversation like that with a group of different podcasters, content creators, just today about that. And the stem from that conversation was about the Chicano Hollywood event. And I told them, I was like, hey guys, next time there's a thing like this, come out, we can all come together and we can all network together. And somehow the conversation steered into, well, what would be the difference if we showed up to the event, because we've already tried with different creators and different podcasters, and it all began it was negative.
Oh.
Like all the interactions were negative, right? And I asked him, I was like, why does that have to happen in our community? It doesn't have to happen that way, right? I feel like if we each individually, we all stay in our, I guess maybe stay in our own lane, but also still work together to build success, like with your group, because that's what it's about. It's about community. And what I've been thinking about the past couple weeks is that we didn't start seeing the MindBuzz grow until we got out of the studio and started making contacts. We started supporting different artists, until we started supporting musicians, until we started supporting each other. That's how it grows. When you build a community and staying positive within that community, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. And I agree with you. That's the reason why I'm like, even though I do the show, like I said, I do the show every Tuesday night and I have fun with it and all that. But we also, I also go to a lot of events. I go and support a lot of events, and even if I'm not the host or I'm not the co-host, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, hey, there's an event happening, so and so here and there, whatever, and I'll go and I'll present myself, and I'll film and try to talk to different artists. I'll talk to the vendors, get information from them, try to follow them on Instagram. It's just all about networking, and that helped me out when I did my first year anniversary, because guess what? I had all those artists come out. If it wouldn't have been for me going, because the majority of them I already had on my show, but some of them also I had just met. Then I got them on the show, and then all of a sudden I got them, like, it's like a trickle effect, because I was like, I met them at an event. Like, there was one I hadn't even heard about them. I went to an event and I met some of them there. I saw them on stage and I loved it. And then I'm like, hey, I want to get you on my radio show. I want to present you as an artist. Let's do the thing. And then they send me their tracks. I got everything that I needed together. I showcased them on the Triple Shot Tuesday, and then we're done, right? And then next thing you know, August comes around, and I'm creating my lineup, and then I'm like, well, I want my day ones to be on there, so I'm gonna have my day ones on there, our artists, but also the newcomers that I just met that are really inspiring. So I was like, I'm give them opportunity to be on the stage too. So that's what I did, and it was wonderful. So it's not just about staying in the radio, in studio, but it's also like going out there, shaking hands with the right people, making connections, So
shaking babies and kissing hands.
Shaking babies, no, not
ladies and
babies.
Gentlemen.
No.
But you had Isak out at your event, right?
Yes, I did.
That guy is amazing.
Yes.
We had him do a set at one of our first and only live podcasting event in Whittier a few months ago, and he was awesome.
Yes, him and Killer Left. He had a homie of his that he did a feature, and his name's Killer Left. And it was his birthday that day, and we all said happy birthday to him too. The same day of my event, it was his birthday.
Isak's?
No, Killer Left.
Oh, okay.
The feature that he had with them, and they both did their thing on stage, so it was amazing.
Isak, we still got to talk about you doing the MindBuzz, by the way.
Hey, no, I was sorry not to like change subject, but I'm still thinking about what you were saying about.
Is that why you didn't change the camera?
Yeah, because I was thinking.
Okay.
No, I was trying to kill a zancudo that's roaming around here, getting my legs.
I know.
Sorry.
I noticed it. He almost went in my mouth earlier. I don't know if you noticed. I was going like this. I was like,
You're fighting him off.
See,
Sorry.
I was trying to kill it.
Tiny too. They're not big like they used to be anymore.
No,
they're really
What the heck kind of studio are you running here, Amber?
Go in my mouth.
Come on, man.
That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to kill it.
Sorry.
No, but I was thinking.
Sorry about that.
I know, putting me on the spot. I'm over here trying to save everybody. I was thinking too, like I think we've talked about this in another episode where we were talking about like generational trauma, right? And I wonder if within Latinos there's some kind of generational trauma that we carry that's not ours, but our parents or our grandparents, of coming to this country and not necessarily finding community, right? Kind of, do you speak Spanish?
Yes.
Like what they say, like rascándose con sus propias uñas, like saying like pretty much like scratching my own back, right?
Yeah.
Like instead of the whole like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine.
Yeah,
it's always been like no, like everybody scratches everyone scratches their own back. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that I wonder if we carry that generational trauma of them coming to this country or coming, somewhere else, and it's like it's just me and my family. I'm working for me and my family, and nobody else matters. Nothing else matters but my goal. And I wonder if that's what's being instilled or has been instilled within our communities, is like, just you worry about you. Because I've heard that a lot. Like, don't worry about other people. Worry about you. You worry about you.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
So I wonder if that mentality of us wanting to succeed so bad that, you know, we lose sight of other people that can potentially aid us or, you know, be a part of our journey.
Yeah, I think it's part that, and then it's also part ego. Like, you want to be successful all on your own, right? The only person I have at the end of the day is me, right? I mean, that's some of the rhetoric that I hear. It's just me doing this, but it's not. Like, you have, like, when you're a content creator, you need an audience to help support you. Exactly. And how are you going to build up a community if you're just thinking about yourself all the way through, or thinking about your project all the way through? It doesn't work like that.
No.
I mean, I thought it worked like that, but it come to find out it's not.
And I think you learned that when I would tell you, oh, I know somebody that can do this. I know someone that can do that. I know someone that this and that. And he's like, you know, somebody for everything. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's how it works.
Find somebody for these Sancludos then.
To go get the Sancludos.
I don't get. See, I get what you're trying to say about like, what was the term? What was the phrase in Spanish that you said, Amber?
Like, cada quien se rasca.
Su espalda.
Like, se rasca. Like, I don't know how you say it. Like everybody scratches their own back.
Gotcha. I don't understand that, because
for yourself,
or con sus propias uñas. Cada quien se rasca con sus propias uñas.
But why would they think that when you had like 20 different families in like one car coming over to this country?
Well, that's
you'd
why.
Figure. No, you hold on. Wait for my bit. You figure that. I mean, I can't. You ruined it.
You had nothing. I seen your face. But okay. So yeah. Okay. Let's say like people that lived, you know, like let's say like my mom. Like I'll give you an example of my mom.
Sure.
My mom, you know, yeah, when they came over to this country, they had all these people living in their house. They lived with other people in their house, you know. But my mom always says, she always remembers, and my mom's like, I don't want to be like this. She says, because she remembers living with people where they would hide food or they would do stuff so that they wouldn't have to share with them, or they didn't have to feed everybody. It was like, no, I only have enough for my family and my family only, and no one else's. So that's why I'm saying that mentality of they only had enough for themselves it's not that they were being assholes. It was just survival mode. I'm not thinking of you. I'm not thinking of the other person. I'm thinking of myself. I'm thinking of my family. How am I going to get ahead? So it was like fight or flight mode for them. But and that's why it's trauma. That's what I'm saying. I wonder if that trauma has been instilled with us as a community, as a group over the years.
Right. I think what we need to do and what should happen is separate that. I mean, that, of course, that works in a survival of the fittest. That works out if you're trying to survive. Not when you're fucking making TikTok videos and videos for YouTube. Like, how does that translate to that?
Yeah, but your brain is wired that way. If you hear it, if you see it, if you live it, that's all you're thinking, subconsciously or consciously.
True. I get that.
So there's my...
The subconscious is a son of a bitch. You know that?
There's my 3 years of psychology thrown at you. Just kidding.
In 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes.
That's funny.
I debunked it all there. See?
Yeah, but...
No, it's just my speculation. It's just me thinking about it, because I was thinking about it all day, and I was like, why?
Right?
Why?
This is a hot topic. It has been a hot topic in the past, actually, a couple days, because... Again, I'm going to bring up the conference. Like, it was and I didn't think about it till after. Like, we could have done a lot better networking there while we were there, right? But that's besides the fact. to get all those people in one room for 8 hours is quite an accomplishment. Especially if you have to pay for a ticket.
Yeah.
To get us in one room to network, to talk, it was quite a, an accomplishment to see that.
I bet.
It was fun. It was great. But it was, oh man, there's just, you felt the energy there to where like, I walked out of the place fucking high as shit. Not smoking, but just high on this weird energy that it's not even weird, but this positive energy to, I can do it. Whatever I set out to do.
Yeah.
I can do it. And then reinforce with this classes that I'm taking for content creation. It is, you got to be unstoppable.
And I think too, like me, for example, when you work with somebody or you find somebody in the same industry that you're in, and they understand where you're coming from, they understand like what it is to get to where you're going. So I have a collab partners in the radio show that I work with, and a lot of them, they kind of do the similar things as I do. They've been doing it longer than I have. So when I told them, hey, I'm going to have this radio show, would you guys be down to be my collab partners? And they said, yeah. And I said, all right. So it's kind of like they're carrying me on their wings because they've been doing it for the longest. So I just put them on there, and then they help me with the show. And it just feels good to like talk to them because they understand what we're trying to put out there, what our vision is.
Yeah, you're building the community.
That's what I love about them, because I'm like, that's what it is. We're going to work, through this together. So one of them is named Long Beach Carlos. I don't know if you ever heard of him, the Nightcap Bootleg. And so he does a lot of interviews too. And lately he's been doing a lot of hosting, a lot of events, like concerts, like big concerts and stuff. So, and then I have my other collab partner named Tony's Talk Showcase. And he's been doing it almost like 4 years, I think going on 4 years now, where he's promoted a lot of artists as well. And then a friend of mine named Frank Vibes, which is on YouTube, he's been doing it too. So I'm like, man. And so when we network and we talk about what we're trying to get and what our goal is within ourselves and within our little partners and collab partners that I have, we see the same vision. We're like, we want to put the communities out there to understand, like, you know what, we could all have a good time, listen to this wonderful music. There it is. You got him.
Got that bitch. You found one, baby. That's me. You know somebody that can take care of these motherfuckers. That's me.
Yeah. But yes, it's fun to like
don't shake my hand. Remember.
It's fun to talk to people that know that, like we're both have that same like mentality as far as like bringing the community together, having more community involvement, like doing the shows that we do, bringing the shows that have also not only music, but it's also like I said, I did the comedy part, I did the vendors part. That brings in more community. That brings in also helping those vendors that are trying to that, like me, I told them, like, when my vendors, when I set them aside in the little group chat, I'm like, hey guys, more power to you guys. You guys are creating your own businesses, be your bosses, be, your own boss, and create something for your family, to leave behind, because it could start off from a little carrito and all of a sudden they have franchises that they build out of it. You know what I'm saying? It could start off from something small, like selling like shirts in a trunk and jeans or shoes or whatever it is from a trunk. And the next thing you know, you own a damn 3-story building selling, your shoes and all your stuff that you created. So to me, it motivates me and inspires me to do a lot of events that have to do with having vendors to be set up to do their thing, because it's helping feed their families.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard out there for a lot of the vendors that don't have permits and stuff like that. A lot of the shows that I've been a part of, that I've been grateful to be a part of, they've never really been sticklers on, hey, you know what, our vendors have to have licenses or permits or whatever, etc. We just want them to show up. They pay the small fee of, for the vendors, for the booths, and reserve a spot, and there we go. But when you do like city events and stuff like that, yeah, they do kind of like, hey, you got to have this, you got to have that. And it's sometimes hard for the raza because a lot of them, they've been waiting, for who knows how long to get permits and stuff like that. So it is a little bit difficult. And I do feel bad for that. But then there's some that they can't even afford it or whatever, and they're trying to make ends meet, with the little things that they do sell. So yeah, but it brings me joy to see that we were able to provide events to have them there and to just be a part of it. And they get to know other vendors as well. And then I have a sister that just created her little thing. It's called the Lemonade Latinas. Shout out to them. And they just created it I want to say 2 months ago. And they've been going everywhere now. And I told them, I said, you see, I said, that's all it takes is believing in yourself and putting your mind to it and dedicating to yourself to it,
Yeah, that's all it takes.
They've been networking for ever since I've been giving them all these different people, and then they've been doing it on their own now. And I'm like, wow, I'm so proud of them that they're actually out there and people like their lemonade stand. So it's a joy to see that my family has their little thing going on too, besides me having what I have with my radio show. It's also been a part of, I've been a part to help them out. I've been able to help them out some kind of way.
There it is. The Lemonade Latinas. Is that them? Mm-hmm. The Lemonade Latinas, Rialto, California. We are 4 Latinas trying to help everyone defeat this California weather with some yummy lemonade.
Nice.
They do private events and more. Just DM them.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Check them out.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome. I love the name. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yep. And it's yummy.
Yeah.
And it's real big too, man, and it's worth it. And then they've had time where it's certain events that they allow them to put a little alcohol in it.
Dang. Amber always has those little vodka shots in her purse, so
No, I
can just grab it out of her purse.
She'll be
And yeah, she gets me every time.
He's lying. I don't even drink.
I'm in a movie theater and she pulls out a bottle. I'm like, where'd you get that?
He
Crazy.
wishes. He's saying what he wishes.
Oh man.
You want an alcoholic girlfriend?
No, I've had one of those. It didn't end
Doesn't
well.
work out, right?
No, I had a lot of black eyes, but we're not here to talk about that. So you've had some very positive, influential people around you, right? Helping you reach your particular goal and growing your show and becoming the host that you want to be. You aspire to be like CC. What's her name?
CC Valencia.
CC Valencia. Have you come across anybody that has been negative towards you? And if that has happened,
anybody personally,
you
but
don't
I've
have
heard it over
to.
the grapevine.
Okay, you don't have to say any names or anything like that. But how would you navigate something like that?
So I've had a couple incidents, and it's just basically to me, it kind of makes me realize wait a minute, I might not be I'm not trying to mimic anybody. I'm not trying to copy anybody. How you said earlier, pick out at least 4 different role models that you follow and see how they did it and stuff like that. And that's that's good thing to do, good recommendation. But for me, I would do that, but then I would also say, you know what? Okay, that's how they did it, but I'm going to take it a step further and do it my way. I don't want to do my thing the same way, identical as someone else. That's why I always say, I might be doing a radio show that's promoting artists, that's promoting bands or music. And there might be 10 other podcasts that are doing the same thing. But I'm not going to go to that person and say, hey, why are you copying me? Or why are you being like my radio show? They could do whatever they want with the radio show. You could do whatever you want with your podcast. More power to you, you know what I'm saying? We could all learn from each other, but it doesn't mean necessarily that I'm going to go and copy exactly what you're doing. I'm going to have my own flavor to it. I'm going to add my own spice to it.
Right.
And I'm my own person. There's only one of me, so you're only one of you. And therefore, there's no way I can even say it. You're just like me, or you're just trying to be like me. That'd be petty. I would be like, you know what? I'm proud of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to hate on you. I'm just going to keep applauding you. And there's a lot of radio shows out there that are doing the same thing, and they've been doing it way before me.
Right.
And I look up to them, and I'm proud of them of how far they've gone, and there's always going to be those people that just want to knock you down and say negative things or tell other people negative stuff to make you feel some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're not happy with themselves. I always look at it, well, maybe they see something in me that they wish that they probably were doing or had done, and they probably would using negative words, to comment, to kind of like throw me off, but it's not throwing me off. I'm just kind of like, what? Like, well, you know what? Like, it is what it is. It's like they want to talk, they're going to talk. I mean, that's just how people are. You're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone that's going to be not happy with what you're doing. And that's just their problem. That's how I look at it. Well, that's their problem. That's not my problem. I'm happy the way I am, doing the things I am doing.
Preach it.
I'm not going to, slow down and make it to where they could be happy, because they're happy that I'm going to be feeling that like negativity. Like, that's how I look at it. Like every little word, I feel like, like they're just trying to stab. Right. And I'm going to be like, ouch. And then little, start getting little, like a little person. Like, nope. You keep on stabbing as much as you want. And guess what? The seed that's planted in me is growing even further out. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you pick a soil, you pick it and you grow a plant, right? But you got to kind of pick a little bit of that soil to get that water through it, right? And then it grows even stronger. That's how I vision it. I'm like, someone's going to keep on poking at me with words and words and words. Because people always say, well, words, they don't hurt. No, but sometimes they do. Depending on where you're at in your state of mind at the time. But you always got to focus on like, no, okay, you know what? They're saying this. It's a reflection of how they're feeling. Right. I'm happy. I'm great at what I'm doing. I'm excited. I'm motivated. I'm not going to let one person or two or three or whatever their words were to make me feel lower, And that's one thing that my mom always used to teach me is that no te dejes que hablen de ti. I can say in Spanish, right?
Yeah. I'll translate to him.
Yeah, my mom would say like, no dejes que las personas hablen de ti y hacerte sentirte bajo porque no lo eres. Do you think you're low? Do you think that you're like that kind of person that they're saying? And I'm like, no, I'm not like that. Well, then don't let those words manipulate your mind if you know the kind of person you are. And you know what? Who's the most important person to judge you is God. No one else but him could judge you. No one else is going to be able to look at the way you're doing your things. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And so I know where I'm at with my life and my stage. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I've done good to people. I've never done any harm to people. And I never wished any bad upon anybody. You know what I mean? So let them talk. Let them talk, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm not getting in no one's way. Like you said earlier, stay in your lane. I do stay in my lane. But if there's going to be a person that needs my help or that is welcoming to accept my like suggestions or whatever, and we could work like that together to raise each other up, that's what I like. I'm like, that's why I like working with the collab partners I have, because we help each other out. Actually,
I misspoke. I don't like using the terminology for staying in a lane. Mm-hmm. Fuck the lanes. I'm going to erase the lanes because we all need to be going towards one goal together. So screw the lanes. I backtrack.
All right, there we go.
I'm taking the lanes and I'm taking them off the street. But I think what is important and what you just said is that you are taking you know where you stand within yourself, right?
Exactly.
You know who you are, you know what you want, and nothing's going to stop you.
Exactly.
And that it's hard. It's hard for somebody to stand their ground, right? Like it's of course, like to have even just one person. Mm-hmm. Just having one person that is negative towards you, like, yeah, it hurts at the beginning, but sometimes you're just like, okay, you got to move on.
Yeah, you got to move on.
I think that's the thing. Like, you just got to move on at a certain point and take inventory of how you feel about yourself, whether they're good or they're bad, and keep it going. That's it.
Exactly. And unfortunately, not everybody is like that. And there is people that have been able to get under someone's skin, you know, someone that's either starting out, you know, their podcast or whatever they're starting out, their business, or, you know, even within family, sometimes, you know, there's no support. There's like, oh, que se cree, you know, oh, he thinks he's Mr. Goody Two-Shoes actor. Oh, she thinks he's that, or, you know, so sometimes within our own family members, and I'm not saying in my family, I mean, my family's very supportive and they've never.
That's good. You need that.
They've been very positive in what I'm doing. But there's been, you know, conversations that I've heard, you know, throughout, other people talking here and there. Sometimes they're like, oh, so-and-so, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, well, like, they're doing good for themselves, let's just leave them alone. Like, there's no reason for anybody to throw negativity on it. Like, that's why I always think, like, when people start talking negative about others, it's because they're going through something mentally, emotionally, and spiritually that they have to have someone else be miserable. They don't want to be the only one miserable. So they try to make you miserable and make you feel like crap,
Yeah.
So I just kind of like shake it off.
It's a weird cycle. It's a weird cycle that it just takes one person like that to poison the day, right? Because you can, like, when you smile at somebody, it makes them feel better, and they're going to take that energy and move it along. The same thing happens with a frown or, a bad word towards somebody. Like it all mingles together. And
it's like a domino effect.
Exactly. You're sharing your energy.
Yeah. That's how they say. So like there was a time where somebody said something and then they try to like rally up everybody to be on their side just because they said one thing, and these other people start like believing it. And I'm like, wow, look at how, like, it's like this. Remember on there was a video a long time ago that went viral where this kid was looking up at the air, the sky. He keeps looking, and then they're like, what is he looking at? And everybody stops what they're doing just to look up. And it was a test. It was fake. It was just to show how everybody's just so like, oh, let's just look at what he's looking at. Like, really? Like, it was just an experiment, to see how vulnerable, how everybody is. Like, we want to see what he's looking at.
It's like the concept when people get in line and you're like, what are they in line for?
What are they in line for? I'm going to jump
like,
in.
I don't know. And then you just stand in line too. Like,
it's for you to get a ticket.
Yeah. I feel like that's how traffic is. Didn't we hear somebody talk about traffic?
yeah, the comedian guy was saying.
Or
Yeah.
like when they stop for traffic and an accident's happening and everyone wants to see.
No, he was saying, he's like, I don't understand why traffic happens. He's like, there's nothing, like when there's no like accident or anything, and then you get to where like the whatchamacallit, the traffic already cleared, and you're like, well, what the hell was the traffic? And he's like, yeah, there was nothing. And he's like, I think it's just people like looking around, and then somebody sees them looking around, and then they start slowing down, and it's like a trickle effect of
the traffic is people looking for traffic. That's what caused the traffic.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Something like that. But, yeah, to navigate that and to know who you are and what you want, like that's it. Just do your thing, right? But it's hard. It's hard to navigate that when you don't have community. It takes a village.
Yeah.
I think
so too.
Right?
I have a good team on my back. Like, so I met, a long time ago, I met this gentleman, we call him Primo, and his business is called Con Ganas LLC. And he always says, Con Ganas, si se puede. Like he always says all this stuff. Like he's very motivating. And, anyways, when I first started my show, he and I talked, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and help you out. So he does a lot of the graphic designs that I have for the radio show. And he's very inspiring. Like he does a lot of things. He's a coach. He coaches the football team out there in Adelanto. So shout out to the SoCal Warriors. And he's just an amazing man. So he inspired me a lot to like I said, like to just do a lot of more like togetherness, more bringing out the culture, bringing out the community, supporting the artists. He does support a lot of like sportsmanship too. Like he loves sports. So he's always like, so when I see him do that, I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and support this artist or support this boxer or whatever it is, And so then that's how I ended up having him. And then I have a friend that does, he does beats, and his name's Jason Garcia. And he started following me, and then next, he wanted to be also on board. And he's like, hey, why don't I do your beats for your background? Like your background while you're talking and stuff. I'm like, you know what? That'll be a good idea. Let's do that. And the first one actually had, there was a gentleman by the name of Beats by Defense. So he did my first ones. He did the first ones, and he's a son of a gentleman that does a lot of writing. He's like in the movies and all that stuff. And so he was like, I'll do your beats for you. So he did that. And then that's when and later on I met Jason Garcia, and then he does his beats, and he's like, I'm gonna send them to you. Whatever, I do, I'll create it for you just for your show. So that's how I became, friends with him. And he's been on board ever since the whole thing started. And just recently he hit me up and he told me, hey, I created a new funky beat for you so you could have for your radio show. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to hear it. Because I play it in the background, while I'm talking and stuff. So that way it won't be so boring, so I'll play it in the beginning. And then I had an artist that I premiered on the show. And then he was like offering, hey, well, could I do your intro? I'm like, what? Okay. He's like, yeah, I'll do your intro. So now my show starts with an intro, and he created it himself, and it sounds so cool because he has a jingle to the show, and so it's kind of cool that he has that, and I love it. I'm like, oh man! So every time I start the show, it starts off with him singing in the back in the jingle. It's kind of cool.
So like all the artwork and all the music has come from different artists that you work with.
Yeah, like everybody's kind of like. It's kind of cool because like the solid ones, like the day ones, like I said, there's a lot of my sponsors that have been with me since day one, and a lot of them.
Oh, that's what that means. Because you made that you made that word. What is it called? That wording before day oneers.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't understand that until now. I get it.
That just means like people that has actually been rocking with me since I started the whole show.
So you're a day oneer.
Like they're dedicated.
That's what they're called?
Yeah.
Day oneers?
My day ones. Yeah.
Day ones.
My day oneers, my day ones. Like they've been rocking since the beginning that I started. And they've been with me ever since. Like they say always like till the wheels fall off, like we're going to be there supporting you. So that's what that is. And there's a couple of sponsors that just had started with us, like the LZ Entertainment. He just started with us not too long ago, and then our new ones, the Unlock the Magazine. So Unlock the Magazine is owned by Isaac, which he goes by Free Wicked on Instagram, and he created his magazine, and now he's going on his 6th edition, which I'm so proud of him because he's doing this all within the jail cell. He's locked up. I did his interview a couple weeks ago, and got a full interview on him, and we played his music and talked about his magazine.
Wow.
And then he has this website, and he also owns this thing called Snail Mail to Jail, where like if you want to write to somebody that's in jail, you can go ahead and write to them. So he has that, you know what I mean? And he's really inspiring. And not only that, he was even able to get my radio show an article. He gave me a 3-page article in his magazine on the 5th edition. So we talk about the radio show on there, and that was pretty interesting too, to have our actual radio show in a magazine, and it's floating around everywhere in the country because he sells his magazine in the website. And then I was blessed he sent me a whole box of magazines, and I was able to sell them at the event. And to this day, I'm still selling some. I have some at home. And when I do like my studio takeover, I have them right there sitting on the side. And I'm like, hey, would you like to buy this magazine? And they're like, oh, let me see. And then I've already sold a couple just by having them in my studio. So I helped them out. And then also with the Cover Your Ass Entertainment, I was able to come out in 2, in their 1st edition and their 2nd edition. So in the 1st edition, I came out, but as a model, because I was modeling. So I'm their calendar girl on their 1st edition. And then the 2nd one, he decided to talk about my radio show.
I love my calendar girls. Throughout this journey, what were some of the highs that you've had besides your event? That is one accomplishment, doing something creative for let alone 6 months, but a full year, which congratulations on that.
Yeah.
What are some significant moments that kept you going throughout that year? Is there any that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think that having to like be out there and just getting to know different people and breaking out of my shell, because I mean, I'm a very outgoing person, but then there was times where I did like find it a little intimidating, especially like if I go to an event where there's other people doing the same thing as I am, because I'm not the only one there that's like doing like podcasting or radio show, whatever have you. So there was times where I would kind of sit back and I'm like, I want to go up to that person, but I don't want to sound like creepy or like, who are you? I don't know you. Like, I've never heard of you. And that was that's the intimidating part of me. It's like, well, they don't even know who I am. Like they're not going to want to talk to me. They're not going to want me to interview them or whatever, because they don't know who I am, But I said to myself, I gotta try it. And what can they say is no? Like, you know, like if I don't try, what about if they say yeah? Like, you know, it works out. And so I started doing that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go handshake. I'm gonna present myself. Because at first, I was like intimidated. Like I said, it was hard. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? No, I actually succeeded now. So now to where like I'm even training my friend, because my collab partner, you know, he's a little shy on the shy end, and he's more like he's done his radio show almost all his 4 years and just stayed in. Doesn't go out. Doesn't really go out to network. And these past months that we've been collabing, I've been telling him, let's go out and shake hands. Let's go out and network. Let's go talk to people. Let's, you know, meet and greet and stuff like that. And now he's been doing it a lot, you know. And it was funny because we went to an event and you know, as soon as the guys, you know, the artist stepped off stage, he already had his phone, right? And I know he's going to laugh at me when I say this. He watches it. But he had his phone on. He's like, hey, could I get your Instagram? And I'm looking at him, like, shaking my head. And I'm like, that's not how you do it. And then he's like, what? And I'm like, you're a radio show host. You own your business. This is a business. We both own our radio shows. So guess what? Hey, man, my name is Tony from Tony Talk Showcase. I like what you just did. Can we interact here? Can I get your Instagram? That's all. I go, because you know what? You pulled it off like you're a fan. Hey, man, could I get your Instagram? You were dope. And they're going to be like, oh, man, I got a fan already. Okay, here you go. Here's my Instagram. And boom, and they leave. You had that one opportunity to talk to them at the time, even if it's a small artist that's just beginning or a big artist that's already there. You have to remember what you're going to say. That's going to be your opportunity. You don't know when you're going to get that opportunity again to talk to that person. You want to leave a good impression. I don't care if they're a small artist or a big artist. You have to present yourself in a certain way. So he's like, all right, I'm going to do that next time. So next time when we went out, you know, I told him, and then we did it. We're like, see, that's how you do it. Because then, guess what? They'll remember us. They'll be like, oh, shoot, we had 2 radio show hosts at our event. Hey, like, damn, that's dope. You know, but if we just go and say, like, oh, could I have your Instagram? Okay, here you go. And then, you know, they're like, they don't remember, like, well,
I mean, you can get his Instagram. Like, we can find anybody's Instagram on whatever. Like, why use that opportunity to ask them for something that you can potentially already know without even talking to the person?
Well, not all the time, though. If you're in an event that there's so many artists that sometimes you don't catch their like their name, or like, you know, like, it's just been like that. It's
we've had that happen this past weekend, haven't we, Amber? That we heard somebody talk, or we seen somebody, and we're just like, oh man, we forgot to get their contact information.
And that's why. So that's why we sometimes, I know that's like the first thing we want to get.
Like the girl you met in the restroom, Amber, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also not even about like I get what you're saying, Gil, but I get what you're saying is like, it's the impression that you make on them, right? Yeah. It's the like your friend, he was excited, and maybe that was his first thing, was to be like, oh, I'm networking. And networking to him is just exchanging or adding people on their Instagram and things like that, right? But it's also more than that. It's making a connection. It's making an impression. It's hey, I'm here. This is what I do. Like exactly what you said. Like, hi, my name is, you know, da, da, da. And then it sticks. And then you go onto their Instagram and you're like, hi, you know, it was really great meeting you. Yeah. And then they remember who you are. Exactly. Because if you're not impressionable within the first seconds that you meet them, they're not going to remember.
They're not going to.
I scared like about a dozen people over this weekend.
Yeah, and you did not do it with me. And maybe that's why you scared.
I think that's what they were scared. I think that's what it was. But I was like, hey. I think because I like screamed.
Oh my god!
Yeah, see, that's exactly what she's saying.
Me too.
That's exactly
I scared you right now.
That's exactly what she's saying. It was more, hi, hey, my name is Gail. I'm a really big fan. I do the MindBuzz podcast. Not, hey, that's like you're at a bar.
Feed them in mezcal, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Don't feed them in mezcal and try to network. No,
that's
they were They were a great sponsor. They're also a sponsor of the MindBuzz podcast initially, but no, I get it. Like there could have been, you know, different ways I could have been about that. But Amber, you're the PR. You're all PR with when it comes to us. Yeah, but
I thought you were walking right behind me, and then I
wasn't.
turned around and I was like, "Where?"
You know what it was? It was the only opportunity that I have, and I went for it. Yeah. I think there was two things going on, and I'm not making excuses for myself because I am making an excuse for myself, and that's what happened. I seized the opportunity, one, and then two, like I was already over the day, so I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go up to this person, hey, I scream, hey, and hey, what's up? But I DM'd her and she read it, so I got left on scene. So maybe that was bad.
She was probably like this creep.
This weirdo guy, weird bald guy with glasses. This good-looking guy with glasses.
You have a lot of more opportunities.
That's fine, and
it's a learning curve.
You gotta exactly. It's a learning curve. I did. Now I know what not to do, even though Amber could have told me don't do that.
Well, I didn't know you were gonna do that.
Sorry, my bad.
But if it makes you feel any better, I've been doing it the other way, like how I suggested it to my friend, and nine out of 10, they'll respond, and there's always that one that kind of like doesn't. So I was like, oh, it didn't really matter, even if I did like present myself, because that person still hasn't messaged back, or they just kind of left it unseen, but I don't take it personal, because sometimes a lot of times they're busy doing stuff or whatever. They're working on their content or whatever have you, so they'll come around eventually.
I didn't get that until that thing happened to me. Like I didn't, like I get it, sending people messages, hey, you want to do the podcast, hey, you want to meet, whatever. I didn't get that until like I seen people read my message, and like everything starts funneling in, right? Like you start overthinking, and that's me. I'm just an overthinker. And now I get it, because now I have all these things going on. A good friend of mine, Steven Gaxio at Gax, we're gonna set up something to do your podcast, but he sent me his link to his Calendly to set up a show for him and I to go on his podcast. And it's not that I totally forgot. It's just like he got me at a weird time when I was doing 10 different things.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it now. Like it happens to people.
It happens to all of us.
But, I had the decency to at least say, hey, dude, I texted him, like, personally. Hey, dude, I didn't forget about you. Let's work out the time still, right? I think when you do that, it shows a little bit of humility,
exactly,
towards the other person.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I wanted to say too. On now that I have the opportunity, because what we go through as radio hosts, and putting a platform for artists out there, a lot of times, a lot of the artists, they'll submit their songs, and then with my radio show, the way I do it is that I like to talk a little bit about what the artist is doing. So I'll send them a little questionnaire, just a little simple one. It's like 5 questions. And I'll as soon as they send their songs in, I said, okay, can you guys go ahead and just answer these questions and shoot it back to me, so that way we can go ahead and get to know you a little bit better. And then they're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then half the time, some of the artists don't send it back, and I have to keep hunting them down just to fill out 5 questions. And my calendar, I have them already set and how I'm going to plan it out, so that way they could be promoted on the Tuesday, right? And so then Tuesday's already here, and I'm like, Tuesday's almost here, and I'm like, man, this artist hasn't sent me their information. What am I going to do? Like, I have to keep rearranging this.
Just make it up on the spot.
I don't know.
That's what I would do. It's like, dude, I'm not from San Jose, California. What the heck are you doing? I'm not even in that genre. Well, fill out your form correctly.
Yeah. So there's been times where I'll tell some of the artists, like, hey, well, since this hasn't been filled out, then you're not going to be on next Tuesday's show, because you have not submitted what's required. So I'm going to take the next artist.
I think,
but it is an inconvenience, because I'm like, like, work with me here. Like, I'm not charging you to get on my radio show.
Yeah.
It's free.
I think that's where you weave out who's really
serious about their
exactly, because that's happened to us, where we've had people sign on even up to the day like they're ready to go. We stopped doing what we were doing, as within our family, just to come and record. and then they didn't show up. And there was
no call?
There was no like, hey, I can't make it. Hey, this happened to me. Hey, like, there was nothing. We literally were sitting here like, oh, they'll come any minute now. And that sucks because that takes away from you as well. You're trying to do things as professional as possible. And yeah, they're helping you out by giving you some content on your place, but you're also helping them out. And that's when you get bummed out. And I know like Gil used to get bummed out, like if people canceled on us or things like that. And I would just be like, you know what? It's okay. Like,
yeah, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's not that I don't care anymore. It's just like, I'm not going to let that road bump mess me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, you know, what sucks is that like if they do it, how many times do you allow this person to keep doing the whole cancellation thing? Like, I mean, if they give you in advance, it's different. But like how you were saying, no shows, how many times are you? Because I know they're going to call you and they're going to be like, hey, dude, oh, you should have called that day, but you didn't. All of a sudden, 2 days later, they're like, oh, sorry, dude. Like, I couldn't call you, but can you get me back on the calendar so we can book an appointment?
I couldn't call you.
Yeah.
Come on. We have computers in our pocket that can call people across the nation. That's not an excuse.
Yeah, but it's
be real with your excuse.
Yeah.
You got to just... Like, I get it. There's certain things that happen, and I get that because things happen all the time.
There's always emergencies.
Right, there's emergencies. But when it's consistent emergencies, I mean, come on. There's got to be there's got to be something. There's got to be a give and take. I don't know. But certain things happen.
And
we'll just leave it at that, right?
It's one of those things that like I would tell them, it's fine. For that one person that doesn't show up, there's going to be 3 more that are.
Yeah.
True that.
You know,
that's true that.
We fixate on the negative and we fixate on what didn't go right when there's so much more that went correct.
Yeah.
You know, and we let that negative outweigh the positive in things, and it's okay.
Yeah. And when you start focusing on, you know, negative things that can happen, like you lose out on the positive
that could have been
opportunity.
Exactly.
That can come in your way.
That's like when I first started the show, because I have a way of seeing how many listeners are listening. So the more I kept looking at it, like in the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you, it was, of course, I'm going to start off as one or 2 listeners because I'm barely getting out there. People are learning about me. But sometimes I'm like, man, there's only 1 listener. And then I was like, man. So it kind of like put me down a little bit. I'm like, man, no one's going to ever listen. Like that number's going to stay like that for a long time. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to continue looking at it because I feel like that my energy was focused on the number instead of happy with that 1 number. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was always focused on the negative 1 number instead of that's a plus. Look at it as a plus 1. Who cares if it's a 1? It's a 1. Like it's a 1. Somebody's listening.
It's progress, no matter how.
Have happiness for that. Like so, I told myself, you know what? I don't care. 1 persons are listening. I'm having a good time. You know, and I know eventually it's gonna grow. And just keep it like that. You know.
Somebody said this. I forgot who it was, but I heard it recently about stand up. If you can't handle 5 people in the crowd, how are you going to handle 5,000 people in the crowd? Right? If you can't make these 5 people laugh, then you're never going to make 5,000 people laugh.
Oh, I see.
So get your shit together, and doesn't matter how big the room is, get that room. Whoever's listening, at least grab their attention, because if you can't grab one person's attention on a podcast, what makes you think you're ready for the 1,000?
Yeah.
Right? So that stuck with me.
Yeah.
It was powerful. I forgot who said it. Maybe I said it. Just kidding.
But yeah, no, I get really happy now because now it's been, like I said, a year. And now when I look at the numbers, I'm like, oh, wow, like we have a lot of listeners, and, you know, the map's growing, you know, because there's a little map that you can tell, and the spots that turn
I love those
blue.
little maps.
Oh, my God. Yeah, when I see all the little blue spots, that's where all the listeners are at. And before it was like little bits of blue here and there. And now it's kind of like it's taking over, man. I'm like, man. So not too long ago, I remember, like, I think I want to say in May, I think it was in May where I announced, and I'm like, oh my God, we have a lot of Russian people listening to us now because it's blue. And I'm like, thank you, gosh, like for everyone listening out in Russia. And I know a lot of them probably don't maybe understand what we're saying sometimes, but there's a lot of supporters out there, international countries, especially we have a lot of Canadians. We have a lot of Brazilian people listening to it too. And then we just got people from Asia. I'm like, how do they understand us?
They understand.
That's cool.
They have they have crazy technology out there.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
Probably, but yeah, I'm amazed how it's, like I said, it's just growing. And we not only go live on Tuesdays, but after we're done with the live, we save it and then we post it and we put it on iHeartRadio. So we have all our shows there listed from 1 all the way to now, and anybody could listen to it from day 1.
So you celebrated your 1-year anniversary August 26th. Mm-hmm. What's in the future for you?
Well, this was something that I wanted to talk about that I'm very happy about because this just happened on September the 2nd. So we collabed with another radio show called PUSO 82.3 FM, and they are on live 365.com, but also they have connections with the live radio out there in Ohio. It's an 82.3 FM. And so they heard my show through Tony's Talk Showcase because Tony, my collab partner, he would sometimes be like, hey, do you want to send one of your shows to me and I'll promote you on my radio show? And I'm like, you would do that? He's like, yeah, why not? So he played me on his show, which his show always comes out on their show because he's partnered with them. And so they heard me, I guess, through him. And then he told me that they hit him up and they're like, hey, how can we get in touch with her? So then we exchanged information and all that. And we, now they have me on the radio show. So I have a spot. When I'm done with my live show on Tuesdays, I send them my show, just like how I used to do it with Tony. And then they promote me on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 1 p.m. in Ohio. And to me, that was like a great accomplishment. I was just ecstatic. I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're actually on an FM dial in Ohio. So when I'm on TikTok, because I get on TikTok a lot, like that's my free time. Like I was telling earlier, some people, I'm like, hey, I got a TikTok, but don't be sending me stuff to do on there. Like, oh, promote this, promote that, because that's my little release from my account, business account. Because I have 2 business accounts. I said, so those are just for during the day, but when I'm on TikTok, it's me time. I'm acting a fool, having fun, And so anyways, I have a lot of friends that live out there. And I said, hey, you guys, go to your radio station on 82.3 FM. Go to the car and put it on. You're going to hear me on Saturdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're like, oh, man, no way. And I'm like, yes. So I'm just like, I just wish I could see the person's expressions, like when they're out there listening to my show. I'm like, man. So September 2nd was the first one. And then every Saturday after that, we're going to be on there at 1 o'clock on their time in Ohio. So that's a great accomplishment because not only it's being heard, on my website, through on Zeno FM, through the iHeartRadio, or through Tony's Talk Showcase, but now it's like more like it's on its own now, like at the FM dial over there in Ohio. So it's awesome. Thank you to PUSO, man.
That's cool.
Well, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment.
It is.
In the medium that you're doing.
Exactly. And not only that, we also do a show called Band on the Rise, which I know I took a little back burner on that one because I was having some technical issues. But so that's a show that we do on YouTube. And it's a 30-minute segment and it's highlighting the bands. And what I was doing and how I constructed that is that I would ask a band like, hey, would you like to be interviewed? And what show are you going to be at? And if it's something doable, we're there. And then they'll even get us tickets. They're like, okay, here. So I'll get a free ticket to go backstage with them and I'll record them on stage and I'll get their interviews backstage and talk to them and one-on-one. And then I'll create a whole little segment of them being on stage, talking to them, getting to know them one-on-one. And then I'll put it on YouTube. So I did a couple of those. This last one that was the next one that's supposed to be on is Héroes del Sol, which... that's where I had a little bit of technical issues, but they're going to be the next ones on the show. So that is expected to be on YouTube. So that's part of also the Two Souls on Fire radio segment that we have. It's the Band on the Rise.
Two Souls on Fire, thanks for coming out and doing the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having me, man.
You can't hear the music, but the outro music. So go ahead and tell us where we can find you, and then also what you have coming up in the future.
Okay, well, you can find me on Two Souls on Fire Radio, and we do have a website, and we have Facebook and Instagram, and we have a event coming up. I don't know when it's going to air, but okay, so September 30th, we have an event with the 20s Talk Showcase along with Two Souls on Fire Radio in the Phyre Water Bar in Ontario, California, and we're showcasing a bunch of artists, you guys, so you guys are all invited. It's 21 and over, so come through, have fun, and also expect me as a host at the La Mas Festival October 22nd, and that's with Stronger Together Now.
So that Stronger Together event, you're going to be hosting that event?
I got the opportunity through Janelle, the organizer. She hit me up, and I was referred by Quetzalcoatl, and he told her about me, and I'm going to end up being on stage and hosting the whole show.
Congrats. Yeah. And we're looking at Two Souls on Fire Radio.
The website.
Yes, right now.
The website. So through there, they can click on Listen Now and support the artist 24/7, listen to music. Take to the Zeno FM and just play, and you can listen to all the music while you're exercising, showering, cooking, whatever.
Awesome. Cool. Amber, do we have anything coming up? Just the open mic on September 21st, and then also the 23rd, My Grito's 3-year anniversary show with
say hi to us.
Maria Sanchez. Come out and say what's up to Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Not me, because I'm going to be getting blasted. No, just kidding.
Ew.
No, but come get blasted with us and Amber.
With him, because stop painting me as an alcoholic. What's up with you?
She's not an alcoholic.
Jesus.
She used to be. I'm sorry.
No.
Hey, I want to shout out Paul. Paul's the one that told me about you guys.
It's my trauma. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sipatli. Thanks, man. The MindBuzz. Did we forget anything? No, huh?
Mm-mm.
All right. See you guys in the next one. Bye.